$100, and the reason for this is this to basically a makeup broadcast, because makeup as in like a reattempt at a recipe. And the problem wasn't so much the recipe as the fact that my last two broadcasts on the same recipe have had a number of problems with them, and so I thought I might do a third one rather than try and fix the other ones and upload them onto YouTube and then blog about them, right? So it's easier for me just to cook this dish all over again. And what I'm making is actually something called Ayam Goreng, which literally means in Indonesian and in Malay literally means fried chicken. Ayam Goreng Kremes in Indonesian means crispy fried chicken, okay? It's a very specific recipe, and first what I have to do is actually just simmer the chicken in its marinade. So I'm going to show you what goes into it and everything. I've got a bunch of chicken pieces up the back there. I had to do this today because I know it's late at fairly late at night over here. I had to get it out of the way because the chicken needs to be used up. But just give me a couple of seconds while I actually hop onto Twitch. Where are we? And if you've got any problems hearing me at all, just let me know in the chat because I'm on my own again. Now, if you're watching this from anywhere else, I can't see your comments come through, okay? So while I'm live on air. But if you go to my Twitch page, you will be able to interact with me there. So hop over there, which is just jackiem.live. And go into the chat room there, and then you'll be able to interact with me live there, right? Now, and also, before I go on, just a quick shout out to Lenovo Australia for the laptop I use for my live streaming, and also for the desktop that I use to monitor my session with, and also Rode microphones for the microphone I use, right? So Ayam Goreng Kremes, like I said, one of the ways that we I know a lot of Westerners are a little bit paranoid when they do deep frying, especially when they fry big chunks of chicken. They worry that the chicken doesn't cook properly, so they end up not doing it all usually, but they prefer to bake their chicken. I always prefer frying. I'm not a huge fan of baked chicken. So the way that Indonesians in particular and Malaysians sometimes circumvent the problem is by actually cooking the chicken in its marinade first before flash frying it to crisp it up, okay? So there are a couple of steps involved before that. I just want to puree the marinade ingredients, right? So I'm going to use onion. The ingredients are a little bit arbitrary, okay? So it really depends on what you have lying around. But generally, I have a more involved ingredients list in the recipe I used for my Ayam Goreng back in my restaurant days. But this one is a slightly simplified one. But again, it's a little bit arbitrary depending on what you have lying around. I've got some lemongrass. This is minced lemongrass. What it looks like. It's just in a packet, okay? This is a bit zoomed in. So I'm going to throw this into my pot over here. So this is my Sunbeam tabletop cooker, and it's just plugged into the power source. So I'm going to toss that in. I've got about 2 kilos of chicken pieces. I'm going to throw some ginger in, but I'm going to puree this, right? And also I'm going to throw in some onion and some garlic in it as well. Where's my cutting board? Let me just grab that. Okay, so thanks for hosting. Just cutting board. I'm so used to just holding things over the camera, forgetting that I've actually changed my layout. I don't know whether I suffer from tweaking ADD, okay, because I'm always tweaking my setups and all that, which drives people nuts. But you know how some people think, oh, if it ain't broke, then fix it. But I'm always inclined to test different layouts, different setups, different everything. So I'm just gonna peel the onion, and I'm throwing all these into my my thermo cook. The thermo cook is basically a multifunction kitchen appliance that can cook, can steam, can blend, puree, whatever sort of thing. So I'm essentially just using the blending function on it for this. But if I had if my lemongrass wasn't pre-minced, which sometimes it isn't, so, I mean, obviously lemongrass, if you buy it fresh, it would come in stalks, right? So what you would want to do is just cut it into like 4 or 5 inch lengths and then throw it in your thermocook to whiz it to get it to a minced mold. Okay. What did I do with that? Okay. So just got the onion over here. I'm just going to cut it into quarters. I'm not sure if I need all the onion, but it doesn't matter. So this is my thermocook. Okay. And it looks basically like a food processor, like a blender on the inside. So in these go, ginger goes in there. Do I want all that? Okay, why not? So I've got that ginger. My garlic is already pre-minced, so I wouldn't need to worry about blending that. Let me have a look. Okay, so I think that's all I need. Okay, so this is just going to get whisked up quickly. I'm trying to find my chicken powder. What did I do with it? Oh, there you go. I've got my Down syndrome son Noah just over there, and he's watching TV. Hopefully the sound doesn't carry over because I don't want what happens with some of these platforms when they're on social media. If one of these platforms catch audio like music or whatever that's copyrighted, even if it's background music like from the TV or whatever, it will mute your entire session, or it might even pull you off air. So it's a little bit annoying, but I'm just going to whisk this quickly. Okay, so there you go. And I'm going to scrape it into this pot. And you can add some curry powder into this if you want, right? I usually do with my own recipe that I used to use in my restaurant. I used to throw all this in and a few other things, and throw in some curry powder as well, but we're going to leave it out this time around. But what I will throw in is some turmeric. Turmeric will just add a nice hue to your chicken. Okay, nice yellow hue. Turmeric, if you're not familiar with this, it's kind of like a type of ginger, but very intense yellow kind of rose. Okay, so that's my turmeric over here. Okay, big time. Let me know what you think of this layout, because this one basically focuses on what I'm doing as opposed to seeing my face. I kind of thought that after a while, just watching on playback, that people see too much of me in large display and not enough of like what I'm actually doing on screen, because usually it's reversed, right? So I'm experimenting with this, so let me know in the comments what you think of this layout, okay? I'm going to throw a bit of, this is tamarind extract. We'll just add a nice little sour undertone to the marinade, okay? And usually with tamarind extract, with tamarind you can usually buy it in pulp form, okay? And then you would need to simmer it or soak it in boiling water until they fall apart, and then you got to basically strain them through a strainer, just force them through a strainer to get the pulp, and then you discard the seeds and the skin and all that. But you can also sometimes buy them in instant form. So this is just a concentrate, and different brands will come in different levels of concentration. So just kind of like figure out how concentrated it is before you blindly follow a recipe. Okay. Now this is galangal. It's a nice to have, but not necessary. Usually, you will find galangal fresh, and I actually got some fresh, but I wanted to save it. I just want to use up all this powdered form. But with a lot of these powdered spices, right, they're great for making curries and making marinades with, because once they're cooked up like this, I mean, you know, obviously they're not great for a salad where you need like the fresh herbs and whatever. I'm just going to add a bit of water to this. Okay, but yeah, if you're just cooking it in a curry or whatever, and it's hard for you to get a hold of like fresh galangal and fresh turmeric, yeah, just in a powder form. Okay, and usually you should be able to find them here in Australia anyway. You should be able to find them in decent Asian grocery stores. But these ingredients, there are Asian grocery stores and there are Asian grocery stores, and some people have trouble wrapping their heads around it, right? So it really depends who the operators are, because Asia is like a really big part of the law. I know it sounds obvious, but not everybody's clear on that. When I go into a grocery store run by Koreans, I'm not familiar with 90% of the stuff they sell there. So you're pretty hard-pressed to find some of the ingredients I use in here at a Korean grocery store, okay? Or even at one that's run by people from China or something like that. So a lot of the ingredients I use are from Southeast Asia. So look for grocery stores that cater to or are run by people from Southeast Asia. I'm thinking places like Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, obviously, though I've never seen a grocery store run by Malaysians. So these are pieces of chicken I'm going to throw in here, and I'm going to turn this up and start cooking this. Singapore, if I missed anything out, Burma, again, I've never seen a grocery store run by a Burmese person. Laos, Cambodia, those sorts of places, right? Brunei, never seen one run by people from Brunei. So I've got a fair bit of chicken. Noe, shush, shush. But I just need to use this up because I bought this last Friday, I think. So, and I don't have room in my freezer to freeze them in. Okay, so for those of you who saw my last two attempts at this recipe, look, the dishes turned out fine. It's just I got, you know, first time I got interrupted by some stupid lawyer-related issue that I'm blogged about, actually. So if you go to my social media, you'll see I've been sharing a blog post explaining what happened. And the second one got messed up first. I came down with a really bad hay fever, so I was sneezing all the way through. It was just disgusting. I decided not to share it. Okay. Noe, don't touch, please. Here comes Noah. That's in trouble. Noah's going to try and get my attention and disrupt things. Noe, go and sit down, please. Go and sit down. Okay, so you've seen all the stuff that go in here. Now I'm going to add some seasoning to it. I'm just going to add like just about 2 teaspoons of sugar. This is a little bit like non-standard, okay? I just like the sugar just to kind of offset some of the other flavors a little bit. I want to throw in some chicken powder. If you don't want to use chicken powder, and this is a popular brand, Knorr, if you don't want to use chicken powder, you can just put some salt in it. This particular chicken powder does contain MSG, which I know some people are averse to. So entirely your call. This is the kind of ingredients that Malaysian cooks use a lot. I'm adding a little bit more into it than I would if I was just cooking a curry or something. No, shush. No, you want a drink? You want a drink? Where's your bottle? Hey? You want a drink? And I'm going to throw in some garlic. Yeah, I'm making this fairly salty because I want the flavors to be infused into the chicken pieces while they're simmering, and then I'm going to strain the chicken out. Okay, so it's not like I'm actually going to be serving the chicken with the sauce like this. Otherwise, it'll be way too salty. Okay, and so garlic. I'm throwing some dried garlic granules in here. Okay. These are the kinds of shortcuts I use for my business. So a fair bit of garlic. And of course, I always say fresh is best, but you know, sometimes for the sake of expediency, the shortcuts just make your life simpler. Especially if you don't have time to run out and buy all these fresh, or you don't have time to peel and process everything every time you need them. Okay. So there are a couple of steps involved in this. And even if you've seen my previous broadcast on this recipe, there's one extra step I'm actually going to attempt today, right? So stick around and watch it. Noah, you want to eat? You want to eat? Eat? Good, 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 good. What are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? Okay. Noah, come. Okay, I'm just going to get Noah some food because he's been eating, but apparently he's still hungry. Hang on a sec. Okay, you want to eat roti? And if you caught my earlier broadcast, this is some roti canai that I made earlier. It's a little bit dried out now. But let's see if this will keep Noah quiet for a little bit. Sit down, please. Go sit. Yeah, baby. Okay, so basically you want to simmer this till it's cooked through. It should take about 15 minutes or so. Now I want to mention, right, that usually if I were doing this in my restaurant, what I would usually do is actually, you can add some chili to this too, by the way, if you want. Should I? I'm just going to add a tiny bit. This one's really, really super spicy. This is chili crush. Okay, when it looks like this, it's extremely, extremely spicy. Okay, I'm just going to add a little pinch of it. I'm just going to turn down the temperature because it's starting to spit a little bit. And I'm just going to add a little bit more water to this. Come. And just say hello to Noah. Noah, say hello. Okay, so you can see this. Now, usually, if I were doing this in my restaurant, after I cook it, I would let it sit in the marinade overnight, right, in the cool room. But so that you get the flavors all properly, like, you know, absorbed by the chicken pieces. But because I want to show you guys start to finish, I'm not going to do that, obviously. Let's take this out. I'm just going to cover this and let it simmer and just put a couple of things away. The next step that I want to do with this is not just deep fry the chicken, but also make the crispy bits, okay, that kind of differentiate this particular recipe from other fried chicken recipes. So the crispy bits are basically made from using some of that marinade strained out and with some flour added to it, and then you deep fry the batter, okay? It's quite interesting. And the final step is going to be a surprise. Hopefully it works, but I've kind of tested it out, but not the way I envisaged I'm going to be doing it tonight, so it'll be interesting. Let's put a couple of things away. Noah, stop it. Noah's chucking chunks of the roti on the floor now. I think he's eaten too much of it. Just going to turn it down a little bit. So if you're just joining me now, this is my third time making essentially the same recipe, and the reason why I do this repeatedly is because after every Twitch broadcast, I upload the video onto YouTube so that my YouTube audience can catch it. And speaking of which, if you're watching this on YouTube and you expect this to run for 3 minutes flat and be all over and done, you can tune off right now, okay, because my Twitch broadcast, my live broadcasts are a different animal altogether. I cook everything from start to finish, so if it takes 45 minutes, if it takes 2 hours, that's how long it's going to take for you to watch this. So if you don't have the patience for it, you can go away instead of leaving me some nasty comments about how I talk too much and to hurry up, okay? But yeah, so all my Twitch broadcasts get uploaded to YouTube because on even though they're saved on Twitch, they're only there for a short time. You can watch the replay for a little bit, but when they're on YouTube, they're there forever. So I upload them onto YouTube, embed them on my website with a recipe post, and I've got the recipe ready to go for my last 2 attempts at this particular dish, but unfortunately the videos, the broadcasts for both of them were messed up for one reason or another. Okay, so this is going to be the video that supports the blog post for this recipe, and hopefully no more mess ups. Okay, Noah looks like he's happy. Let's see how long that lasts. And if you're wondering the difference between Indonesian and Malaysian, there are some crossovers. As far as the language is concerned, Maui, you want to eat more? You want to eat more? You want to eat more? As far as language is concerned, Indonesian and Malay are about 80% the same, and the rest are different, okay? So I can sit through an Indonesian movie, I can talk to an Indonesian, but there are going to be gaps in the vocab that that I'm going to have to guess. I actually studied Indonesian at university as well. No, come. You gonna eat? Yeah, along with a whole bunch of other languages. So my background before I did the whole food thing, but I used to own a restaurant. In case you don't know who I am, a Malaysian restaurant. Before that, I used to be an IT consultant, and before that, my university degree was actually in languages at Sydney University. So I know bits of a whole bunch of languages. Penguin Souls, hello, how are you? I am making Ayam Goreng, which is Malay and or Indonesian for fried chicken. Ayam Goreng Kremes means crispy fried chicken. Kremes means crispy in Indonesian. It's not a word that I'm familiar with in Malay. Okay, so that's the kind of like similarities in the languages and the differences. So Ayam Goreng is fried chicken in both Malay and Indonesian. Kremes means crispy in Indonesian. And in Malay, usually we say rangkut. Okay. But it's been a long time since I lived in Malaysia. I traveled to Malaysia quite a bit, but I haven't lived there for 33 plus years now. Good. Every time someone comments when I don't have a moderator, I'm like, okay, how long before they start trolling me? Okay, so there you go. This is pretty much cooked, right? And like I say, the sauce is going to be quite strong flavored, so don't try and like use it as is, okay? But usually in my restaurant, like I say, this would sit in the marinade overnight, and what you're going to find once it's cooled down is that the marinade will turn gelatinous, and then it's gonna like stick onto the chicken pieces, and then when we take it out to deep fry them, we kind of like have to scrape off the gelatinous stuff that it's coated with. So you see this chicken here. Now what I'm going to do now is heat up some oil for deep frying. Let me just disconnect this. And then I'm also going to prepare the crispy batter for this as well. So we're going to fry up the chicken, and we're going to fry up the crisps that go onto it separately. Put this out of the way. Thank you, it is delicious. Okay, let me put this away. I'm going to deep fry it in this heavy based wok. This is a non-stick heavy based wok. It cost me probably about $30 or something like that. I bought this at a Korean grocery store. The Koreans have a lot of these kinds of cookware, and they're pretty reasonably priced, and they work quite well. Depending on what you use them for, you wouldn't want to try and use this in a something like a quick stir fry or something like that, because that you would want a thin wok. But if you're doing deep frying, a heavy base wok. Okay, so I'm going to use my dinky stove. So this is my little portable stove. No, you want to eat more? You want to eat more? You want to eat? Okay. Okay. You. Okay, what happened to my lighter? Okay. For whatever reason, this thing decided to stop lighting up by itself. So I've got some, I'm going to use a combination of, you know what, this might be enough. Okay. So just heating up some oil, and this is just regular like vegetable oil. want to eat? I'm just, if you're wondering who I'm talking to, I've got my Down syndrome toddler sitting here, just out of shot, and he's just back from childcare and being a little bit whiny because he wants attention. And I had already actually fed him before I started on this, but apparently that didn't help. Okay, baby, here you go. No eat? Here you go. You want to eat? Are you finished? You finished. Okay, finished. He doesn't want to eat. You want to go watch TV, baby? You can go watch your show. Okay? Okay? So this is just heating up. You want to bring it up to about, I always say about 180 sort of thing. But I do a lot of things by guesstimating, so it's not like I stand over and measure the heat, okay? If you want to know when the oil is ready, usually they suggest dropping a tiny crumb of whatever it is, and if it sort of like sizzles and it floats up to the top, you know the oil is hot enough. But I just kind of guess. Now, with the chicken, like I say, this was simmering in the pot with all the marinade for about 15 minutes or so. And before I deep fry this, I'm going to want to actually, usually if I were doing this, my own recipe, my restaurant recipe basically calls for the chicken pieces to be drenched in rice flour and then into the deep fryer. But this particular Indonesian recipe is a little bit different. You fry the chicken pieces as is, okay? And then separately you make the crispy bits, and then you kind of like toss the crispy bits on top of the chicken before you serve it up. Okay, so I'm going to take out some of the chicken pieces and just try and pat them a little bit dry before they go in the oil so they don't spit too much. Okay, so I'm just going to transfer some of these into a separate bowl. These chicken pieces, if you saw my previous broadcast, I used chicken Maryland. The first broadcast I did, I fried a whole chicken Maryland. Chicken Maryland is essentially the chicken leg connected to the thigh sort of thing, so it's kind of like an L-shaped thing. The second time I actually cut them into smaller pieces, and you know, not strange, you wouldn't think. It used to be that chicken Maryland was quite cheap. I think like with the advent of a lot of these restaurants, especially Vietnamese restaurants that like to use the chicken Maryland to make their crispy chicken dish, right? The price of chicken Maryland has gone up quite a bit. And I remember the last batch I did, the 4 pieces of chicken Maryland I bought ended up costing nearly $16, which I thought was quite important. This time around, I just bought like chicken pieces, which essentially are very similar. So you've got both the thigh and the leg, except they're all cut into like not as pretty pieces. And these only cost me $2.50 a kilo. So this entire 2 kilos here cost me like only about $5, just over $5. So it's the oil. Noah, come to mama. Come to mama. Here you go. I'm going to say hello to everybody. Here you go. Say hello. Hey. Good boy. Okay. You're going to watch your TV? No, you're going to watch TV. Okay. Can I sit here? Okay. You sit here, okay? Is this it? Okay. So the oil is getting quite hot. And I've got chicken pieces taken out of the marinade. Let's put them in. You're going to find if you were cooking them right away like I am now, that the chicken themselves don't carry a lot of flavor, so they really need to sit in the marinade, like, for at least a couple of hours, if not overnight, just for the flavors to kind of soak through. But like I say, because I'm rushing this through, we don't have the luxury of no, shush. You want a drink? You want a drink? I'm going to get him a drink. Okay, come you sit over here, baby. You sit over here. Okay, good boy. Okay. Gentle with the butt. Now, if you worry about the chicken, because usually if you cook this in a deep fry, it comes with a basket, right? To me, deep fryers have their pros and cons. I generally find a basket, basically the mesh are not generally like fine enough to prevent, see these bits that are falling off the chicken. They end up going through the mesh, they end up in the oil anyway. But also the other problem, I mean, deep fryer baskets are great for like frying chips and that sort of stuff, right? But when you're frying something like this, the good thing about it is temperature control. But and also the fact that there is a basket means that the chicken pieces are buffered from actually hitting the obviously elements. But in this situation, sometimes the wok base can scorch the pieces. Okay. In this case, if you want some sort of a buffer, I don't know where it's gone now, but at Asian grocery stores here in Australia, you can, if you look carefully enough at the more well-stocked ones, the ones that sell utensils, Asian, that have like an aisle for like all these random Asian cookware and stuff like that. Keep an eye out for these bamboo meshes, right? They're probably about this size, and they're just like, they look like bamboo weaves with large holes. And what you do is basically you just place it at the bottom of your wok for deep frying. And what it does is it just basically acts as a buffer so that any chicken or whatever else you're frying don't come into direct contact with the surface of the wok. So it helps it helps prevent it from scorching. Okay. So because these chicken pieces have already been cooked through, right, or almost practically cooked through, you don't worry about whether the chicken's going to be cooked through properly, because you know for a fact it's already, all you're doing is just flash frying it and just crisping up the exterior. No? You want to go watch a show? You want to go watch a show? Okay. You want to watch a show? Okay. You want to watch a TV? Okay. Let's sit over here. Yeah. Good boy. I'm gonna get something for this to go in. Okay, so it's just about ready, and I want some coconut cream, and I want some more water. What happened to that flow? No, so that should be enough. So I'm just going to stick some paper towels in here. Let's see. No, stop. Stop. I like the skin to crisp up some more, so I'll fry it a little bit longer, but the meat itself is actually cooked through. So in the meantime, what I want to do is create the batter that I'm going to fry up, okay? And to do that, this thing is spitting and it drives me nuts when it does that, because I hate for it to kind of get all over my computers and stuff. So I've got the marinade, and if you remember, so this is the marinade, right? If you remember, it's quite salty because I put quite a lot of chicken powder in it. So I only want to use a couple of spoons of it and strain it through here first. So I'm just sifting the marinade. So that gives me this here. Now what I want to do is just add some coconut milk. So you can just use straight water to be honest, but I'm going to use coconut milk. Stop. So I'm adding like some coconut milk or coconut cream, whatever takes your fancy, into this. And I'm adding some water to it. So far, this is what I've got here. And I'm going to add some rice flour to this as well, okay? I'm going to take out the chicken pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to turn down the oil a little bit. Okay, so this is what I've got now. Rice flour, plus coconut cream, plus a bit of water, plus some of the strained marinade, okay? I'm just mixing this up. And I'm going to take out some of the oil because I don't want it to overflow. This might be flavor. Okay, so you don't need as much oil for this. Oh, thank God, Noah's just heard the favorite part of his show come on, so. Thank God for Teletubbies. Okay, so I'm just trying to mix this well. Obviously, a whisk would be perfect, but I don't want to have to dig it out. So as you can see, this is a very runny batter, okay? I'm going to move the chicken out of the way. Okay. So here you go. Just turn this back on. And I want a wooden spoon with a ladle. Okay. souls, thanks so much for for staying up for this. I'll see you another time. Okay, here you go. This is going to sizzle very, very quickly, okay? So you can see this. Now, basically, you want to fry this till the bubbles disappear or nearly disappear. Okay, so not much longer to go. I'm going to lay out the chicken on a platter. I've got the chicken more moment, some of it's a little bit well done. So if you attempt any of these recipes, right, tag me if you share it on social media. All my social media accounts are just up there. So post a photo and tag me in social media so I can see how yours turn out, right? And we're just okay, so you see the crispy bits. And then you just pour them over the chicken. Can you see it? Okay. I'm going to do another lot because I like the crispy bits. And if you have a more runny batter, the bits will be smaller, okay, or you can just try and like break them up a bit. The oil is this oil is a little bit like used, but so it looks a bit tired. Yeah, so the crisps float, okay. And the other thing I wanted to show you was the final step in this that I haven't done on there yet. And basically you see this, right? That's the marinade again. What I want to do is strain out some of the marinade again. But this time, it's kind of like a waste not want not thing, right? Because earlier we used the marinade juice. Now we're using the marinade bits, right? So these are all the crushed spices from the marinade. So that's the onion, garlic, lemongrass, ginger, galangal, and all that in there. Let me just taste it. Okay. It's not too bad. Okay. I thought they'd be a bit saltier. But if they were a bit salty, you can add some shredded coconut to them. But this is actually not that salty at all. Which probably means I could have put more chicken powder or a bit of salt into my marinade earlier. But I was worried about like putting people off. So just frying this up. So this is nearly done. Like I said, you can break them up some more if you want. Okay, so you see the crispy bits again on the chicken. Okay, so that's what the chicken's going to look like. And the other version of having the bits on your chicken, I found this on a separate recipe, is again to use the basically the bits from the marinade. I'm just going to spit a bit with a fair bit of water in it. And don't forget, do what I did if you are frying the chicken first with the oil. Take out half the oil at least, or at least certainly make sure you have a big enough gap between the oil and the top of your wok or whatever it is you're using for your deep frying. Otherwise, you'll see the oil like gets quite agitated and it like bubbles over, and you don't want to burn your house down. Okay. Again, you want to fry this up till the oil dissipates, right? And what you can do actually, if your marinade is not too salty, you can actually reduce it. After you take out the chicken and fry up the chicken and you only have the marinade left, you can actually simmer the marinade till it's reduced and then use the bits like for deep frying like this so that more of the flavors get absorbed into these bits here. But these two will basically act as crumbs. But it's usually either or, okay? Either you do the crumbs the way I just did, or you do them like this, right? This will be different. This will be like kind of like shredded, soft, crusty bits on your chicken. I don't know if you can hear Noah screaming there. And the crumbs like shrink when you fry them, okay? Because of all the water content gets evaporated. And you gotta make sure like that you don't end up burning it. But usually if you were to add desiccated coconut into it, then you should get like a more crumbs, basically more substantial crumbs, because otherwise these are just kind of like very, very finely minced onion and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so you want to fry this till, like I said, till most of the oil starts to dissipate. Okay. Noah's just whining in the background. I don't know if you can hear him because this microphone captures a certain area. But I promise you, as soon as I go off air, he'll be totally quiet. He'll be like a beautiful little angel. Okay. Okay, let's see. So these kinds of crumbs are what we call serunding, okay? Serunding refers to a few different things along the same lines, basically, kind of like anything that's shredded and flossy. Okay, there you go. So remember, I've got the chicken here, and I've got the crisps made from rice flour, and now I'm going to put the serunding on, okay? There you go. So that's what I've just served up. And they'll taste like, you know, like lemongrassy, oniony, garlicky sort of thing. So they're quite nice. And then you've got these ones that are crispy, which are the rice flour crisps. Okay, well there you go. That's my makeup broadcast for the Ayam Goreng Kremes, crispy fried chicken, Indonesian fried chicken. And the recipe is ready to go, so you should get it uploaded, published on my website pretty soon. If you're watching this from anywhere else except Twitch, go follow me on Twitch, which is JackieM.live, www.JackieM.live. And if you want the recipes, go to JackieM.com.au, which is where all my recipes get published within a couple of days usually. I've just been a little bit behind because my assistant Cyan has been practically absent for the last 2 weeks or so. But anyway, thank you guys. I will see you Wednesday next with a new broadcast at a little bit earlier. Okay. Yeah, I'll see you again. Ciao.